Assalamu alaikum, New York. You're now listening to WBAI 99.5 FM. This is TahrirCAIR. I am Hassan Abdullah, and I'm in studio tonight with my co-producer and co-host, Sister Reem Nasser. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Reem.
Wa alaikum salam, Hassan. How are you doing tonight?
Alhamdulillah.
You ready to raise some money for Tahrir?
Inshallah. We have a goal. We got to get at least $1,500 to stay on pace with the rest of the producers and the rest of the programs. So inshallah, the people will call in and make the donations so that we can be on pace with everyone else.
I think we can do it.
I think we got, and we're going to bring the listeners some interesting conversation tonight.
We have a very interesting and vibrant conversation tonight. But this is just a preview of what we always do on Tahrir. So if you like the work that we do here, if you like WBAI, you know what to do. You call in at 212-209-2950 and you pledge your support.
We're going to be, what are we pitching tonight? Occupation 101, am I correct?
That's right. It is a DVD. It's called Voices of the Silenced Majority, Occupation 101. And it's a very powerful documentary film on the current and historical root causes of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and U.S. government involvement. It also brings out voices of Middle East scholars, peace activists, journalists, religious leaders, and humanitarian workers whose voices have been suppressed in the mainstream media. So this is a great premium that we're offering you tonight. And Hassan, we're offering it for how much?
$100, the premium itself, and then if people want a special gift, which is a two-set DVD, it's $150.
Exactly. So only $100 for this amazing DVD, this film that talks about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from a perspective that you don't get in the mainstream media. So in order to get that DVD and to pledge your support, please call in 212-209-2950. That's 212-209-2950.
And just because we don't want people to feel left out, we're also not only going to talk about the international issues, but we're going to talk about some domestic issues. We're going to talk about Occupy Wall Street, law enforcement surveillance, and we have two guests, one in studio and perhaps one on the line. Am I correct?
That's right. We have two amazing guests with us today. They're going to be helping us pitch, and they're also going to be talking about some very important subjects that have really been coming up in the Muslim community, not only in the New York, New Jersey region, but throughout the country. These are issues that we might be afraid to talk about, but tonight on Radio Tahrir, we're going to bring them out and we're going to talk about them with you.
One of our guests is in studio, and let's say salam alaikum to Brother Cyrus Magadic.
Yeah, alaikum salam.
How you doing, brother?
Good, alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah. You are the president of CAIR New York?
I'm the civil rights manager at the New York chapter of CAIR.
And what are your responsibilities?
Well, you know, we're a scrappy organization. I'm the only staff person, and managing probably one of the busiest chapters of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Defending victims of religious discrimination, working on policy issues, as well as educating people as best as we can.
Alhamdulillah. And do we have Brother Ramzi Qasim on the phone?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. How you doing tonight, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well.
And you are an associate law professor within the CUNY University system?
That's exactly right. I teach at CUNY, and I direct the CLEAR project there, which stands for Creating Law Enforcement Accountability and Responsibility.
Oh, alhamdulillah. So what we're going to do tonight, first we're going to try to encourage our friends in New York and New Jersey and all the masjids and all of the Muslim associations to call us at 212-209-2950 and make your pledges. Our goal tonight is $1,500. That's a great sound when you hear that phone ring.
Thank you for that call.
And we're pitching Occupation 101. And what we're going to do, Brother Qasim, could you just hold on for a little while? We're going to play a little excerpt from Occupation 101, and then after we play the excerpt from Occupation 101, we'll have some brief discussion, and then we'll talk about some of the pressing issues that are within our own domestic area here of New York City and what's going on with the police enforcement, surveillance, Occupy Wall Street, and we'll have some discussions. But the number again for our listeners is 212-209-2950.
And while our engineer is getting the clip ready for you, Let me just mention that our executive producer, Dr. Barbara Nimir Aziz, is currently overseas. She's traveling and getting you some amazing productions from the Middle East that we will be playing later in the year or earlier in January for you. And she also has the latest blog. It's called Reflections on Nepal. It's actually the second part of her blog. It's now on our webpage, so you can go to www.radiotahrir.org and you can read that second part of her blog. In the meantime,
we think we're about ready. We're almost ready. So, Brother Qasim?
Yeah?
You still there? Okay, if you get a chance, listen. Maybe perhaps you might have some comments on some of the discussion that's going to take place on this CD. Again, it's called Occupation 101. You can get the DVD as a special gift for $100 and a two DVD set package for $150. And again, the number is 212-209-2950. We'll be right back with in-studio guest, Brother Cyrus Magadic, Sister Reem Nasser, Brother Ramzi Qasim, and myself, Hassan Abdullah. You're listening to WBAI 99.5 FM, Occupation 101.
Any violence by a large population is not because this people is more violent than any other. It's an alarm, it's a sign, it's a signal that something is wrong in the treatment of this population.
Where is the outcry? Where is the voice of the king? Where is the voice of the people?
That was a clip from Occupation 101, the premium that we are offering tonight for you on Radio Tahrir. you can only listen to it, but we are actually watching this DVD as we play it for you, and there are some extremely moving images right now that we're watching. They're showing us images from the occupation in Palestine, but not only the occupation in Palestine. We saw some images from other indigenous occupations throughout the world. This is an amazing DVD, and for $100 you can not only get this DVD, learn about the occupation in Palestine from a different perspective, but also support Radio Tahrir and WBAI. And to do that, you can call in at 212-209-2950.
You know what's amazing about it? When you're watching this video, they go to different parts of the world where people were protesting, and they had a flash of America. And if you look at what you were observing, is exactly what we saw weeks and weeks ago when they showed the demonstrations down in Lower Manhattan. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I don't know when they produced this video or this video, but it's amazing how the similarities between what they show in this part of the video, at least, and what we've seen in the last several months. What do you think, brother?
No, that was a really powerful video. This is my first time watching it, and really, to see images from everywhere from Algeria to India to Ireland, which is certainly an important cause to me, and then to really situate America in that history of resistance to oppression. This was really definitely a very powerful video, and so reminiscent of just what we've been seeing over the last few weeks.
Now, I know that CAIR has been on the front line regarding New York City surveillance. Tell us what you've been doing. First of all, tell us why this is important to CAIR at this point.
No, absolutely. The center of this controversy is really reports, from the Associated Press and tremendous investigative reporting, I have to say, by the Associated Press about a program within the NYPD where a whole department was formed essentially by CIA agents to comprehensively, categorically spy on American Muslims of all ethnicities. An amazing violation, of civil rights, of our human rights as Americans and as Muslims. This involved spying on businesses, on mosques, on schools, on college students, and basically any association with Islam, at its center. And this is important for a lot of reasons. Certainly, there's the very practical issue of the oppression and the political repression of Muslims. But I think that even more important than this is that this isn't just about Muslims. This is just a mechanism by which the rights of all Americans are being eroded.
Oh, I definitely agree. Professor Qasim.
Yep.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yes. Now, I think your specialty is the relationship between law enforcement and the laws. Am I correct? Is that what you teach?
In part, yeah.
Okay. What do you think about these allegations against the NYPD?
Well, I think as Cyrus pointed out, what's really remarkable and still shocking, even if not completely surprising, given everything that, particularly Muslim communities in New York City have been living through since 9/11, is the fact that, the NYPD, we now know, thanks to these Associated Press reports, has been engaged in spying on literally every single level of Muslim public life in this city. And again, this isn't just an issue affecting Muslim New Yorkers. When you have a program like this that exists in a major city, in the largest police force in the world, that should sound the alarm for all of the communities that share this great city of ours. And so, on many levels, both sort of in terms of what it means socially, but also what it means legally, politically, these confirmations are really sad news for our city and our police force.
Professor, let's backtrack one moment. Some of our listeners who are listening may not be sure exactly what the NYPD or the CIA or the FBI can actually do with regards to surveillance. Can you just explain to us, just break it down, what exactly is legal and what exactly is illegal for them to do?
Well, I think that's always the first question that people ask, and unfortunately, the answer is not as clear cut as we would like it to be. Mm-hmm. If you'd asked me that question, before September 11th, 2001, then my answer may have been, more clear and definitive. But at this point, given all the changes in the laws that have intervened since 9/11, it's not completely clear what it is that the authorities can and cannot do legally. So I think the good starting point for the conversation is sort of more of a descriptive starting point. And what is it that's going on? What do we know about? And you know, as you all know, Muslim, South Asian, and Arab communities in New York City have long suspected for decades, since 9/11 and even before 9/11, that they were the targets of intense surveillance by federal and state law enforcement. What the Associated Press reports do is they confirm that suspicion, and they give us a level of detail, a level of granularity that we didn't have. And that paints a picture of a very broad and deep, pervasive program of surveillance, you know, where the NYPD, in collaboration with the Central Intelligence Agency, was sending agents, informants, people known as rakers, and crawlers into mosques, into bookstores, cafes, restaurants. So again, you know, every level of Muslim public life in this city. Now, the legality of that is questionable. Whether the CIA should be involved in this kind of a domestic spying endeavor is questionable as well.
But doesn't the Patriot Act authorize these type of techniques?
Yeah, and that was going to be my next point, because I think as questionable as the legality of all of these programs and approaches might be, one problem that we have is in identifying the exact practices in detail because of the secrecy that surrounds all of this. And the secrecy has gotten so absurd that even the federal government's interpretation of the laws has been turned into a secret. And so you asked about the Patriot Act, right? Well, there's a provision of the Patriot Act that we know is being interpreted in a particularly sweeping way by the National Security Agency and by the federal government to allow spying on Americans. The problem is that the government's interpretation of that provision of the Patriot Act is itself secret.
Well, also the problem is the courts, who basically are the last arbiters of whether legislation is constitutional or not, has been basically siding with the issue of national security.
Right, and then exactly, you get the federal government, you get lawyers for the federal government. Whenever you try to challenge these practices in the federal courts, you get lawyers for the government coming in and saying national security, saying that you know, any kind of judicial or public scrutiny of these policies is going to bring the nation to its knees and expose us to all kinds of threats. And then, you know, the courts are basically as much a victim of this fear-mongering rhetoric as a section of the public is. I mean, people believe that when you have a government lawyer standing up in court saying, look, you know, this is a vital matter, this implicates national security. Unfortunately, many judges don't want to question that, even though it's their job to do that.
You've been listening to TahrirCAIR 99.5 FM. This is a fundraiser. We do need your calls at 212-209-2950. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. Brother Ramzi Qasim, associate professor at in the CUNY Law School system, and Brother Cyrus McGoldrick is president. He's a member of CAIR of New York, and Sister Reem Nasser. Again, the number's
212-209-2950. Our premium today is Occupation 101, a DVD about the occupation in Palestine from a different perspective. You can get that for a pledge of only $100. For a pledge of $150, you can get a 2-set DVD. And as usual, you can pledge as much or as little as you want, but you need to call 212-209-2950.
We need all those masjids in New Jersey and New York. We need those Muslim and Arab associations and Indonesian associations. Get on the phone, call your friends, tell them TahrirCAIR's on. This is Peace and Justice Radio, WBAI 99.5 FM. We need you to call in. We're trying to raise at least $1,500, and I don't like the number that I'm seeing up on the screen. We don't have any lines lit up. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. Where else can you hear this type of discussion? Something out of the mainstream. We're commercial free. That's one call. We need at least 5 callers, because I believe if we can get at least 5 callers, we can start to put a dent in what we're trying to achieve tonight. What do you think, Reem?
I think so. How many is that right now, Max? 2?
1.
One caller.
One caller.
This is horrible.
It is 9:20, and we have one caller on the line.
And we spoke to so many people before the show tonight, so we need you to call 212-209-2950. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. I guess my next question would be for both of the guests, and either one can answer it. I mean, as opposed to talking about what is actually going on, what is it that can be done to either circumvent this or to prevent this? What kind of steps can these communities take to at least to mitigate or to minimize the impact that some of these techniques may have on the community?
If I may, I think that, it's very important, even beyond minimizing, because, it's very important to talk about legality. Legality and legal issues, will be central, I think, to actually making a tangible change. However, I'm very hesitant and I'm very nervous, with any conflation, of legal and illegal with right and wrong. Mind you, this is a country where...
Well, I'm talking about purely legal.
No, of course,
yes,
no, absolutely.
Right.
But, remember that this is a country where slavery was legal. And in the Constitution at one point it said that black people were 3/5 of a human being. This was the law. This was the law in this country, right? This was the law in this country. So it's, when I look at, programs like this and spy programs like this, where the civil rights of American Muslims are being violated wholesale, we really need to look at it, not that is this legal, and if it's legal, then let it go, but say, if this is legal, then the law needs to change. This needs to be a complete systemic change. So really what we're looking at now is serious movement building. And this is why, we at CAIR New York, with Ramzi Qasem at TahrirCAIRCLEAR, through the Muslim American Civil Liberties Coalition, MACLIC, the Majlis Ashura, tremendous, huge grassroots organizations and coalitions are forming around this issue to really address the strategy from different sides.
Now, Professor...
Yeah.
Professor Ram, is it, because he's talking about organizations, grassroots organizations, is this something that we can achieve through a political means, meaning political pressure so that we can repeal this type of legislation, or is there some other techniques that can be used to address this legislation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I couldn't agree more with what Cyrus just said. I mean, I think the legal effort is only a part of what needs to happen, and it's a small part. I think the larger part has to be that sort of broad grassroots mobilization against this kind of surveillance as a matter of policy, against secrecy as a matter of law. I mean, I think people really need to mobilize, and I'm talking about really broad coalitions that cut across ethnic and religious and socioeconomic divides, and hopefully that'll send a message to legislators and policymakers and people in power that, what's going on isn't acceptable. I mean, I think that that's really the only way to affect the kind of change and send the kind of message we need to send. And, the law and litigation and going to court, that's just a part of it. But that really, we can't put all of our eggs in that basket. I really think the larger mobilization is the more important part.
I was watching about 3 weeks ago, I think, when everybody came down, when they were at Zuccotti Park and when they were on 14th Street. And, I'm a former athlete, and I watched how they mobilized the police department, and I said to myself, this is like an exhibition game, because it gave the NYPD an opportunity to actually have some practice, to mobilize their techniques to see how effective they could be. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I think just looking at the last few weeks, last couple months, really, and being out there that same day on the 17th, there was a mass mobilization. Even the very next day on the 18th, Muslims had a huge rally in Foley Square to protest this exact program. This has been certainly community building, I think, on both sides, for better or worse. On our side, I think it's absolutely, a test of power and a test of how well we can organize and mobilize, which, I don't think it died by any means. I think that this is just practice for next year and for moving forward. But also, this has been some exercise for the police as well, and this has been a real show of muscle. And it's only getting worse, because now every time that they do something, we become more desensitized to it. We're seeing this conversation happening across the country now, where police are pepper spraying, protesters sitting on the ground, And there's half of this country is defending it. It's really shocking the level of oppression that this country is willing to take.
Because they've raised the level.
Yeah.
They've set the bar so high now because people are not concerned about freedom anymore.
Yeah.
They're concerned about their security. And by the way, we've had some calls. I know that you're used to calling in and having some discussion with us, but we need to raise $1,500. And the only way we can accept calls and talk to you, the listener, is if you start calling in to 212-209-2950. And we raise a sufficient amount of money, maybe our engineer will let us open the lines and talk. But right now, we're not doing too good, so we need you to call us at 212-209-2950. Our premium for tonight is Occupation 101 regarding the Palestinian issues, or the Palestinian occupation as it's called. And in the studio tonight is Brother Ramzi Qasim. He's a associate professor in the CUNY Law School system, and Brother Cyrus. I'm not going to mess his last name up.
Okay. Cyrus is fine.
He's from CAIR, New York. Now, I like that sound. There's some phone calls.
There we go. Because we don't have nearly as much as we need to have. We are almost halfway through the program. We need at least 10 more callers before the end of the midway program.
Do we have any on Occupation 101, Max? Did we get it to any dialogue yet?
Oh, I imagine there's dialogue.
Okay, let's play Occupation 101 for a few minutes so the people can hear our premium.
The suffering, the persecution of Christians, they've been robbed of their heritage. They've been robbed of their ancestral lands. They've been robbed of their culture.
Some of the first converts to the teachings of Jesus were Palestinians. So that's how long Christians have been in that land. Their quarter, the Christian quarter, has been really, really decimated and taken over and sliced up.
That has really bled the Christian community to where they're less than 2% of the population now.
The presence of a Christian community within the Holy Land, can you imagine, where Jesus first stepped foot, will no longer be there.
I know both from the moral sense and from the practical sense that the only way to stop the violence is to treat the root cause from which the violence has started.
The number one myth that Westerners have about this conflict is that Arabs and Jews have been fighting for thousands of years and they're going to continue to fight.
This is really quite bizarre because all it takes is a little bit of reading of history to find out that this just isn't true. There is no congenital historical enmity between the Arabs and the Jews. The Jews flourished in the Arab world at a time when they were being persecuted throughout all of Europe.
At the end of the 19th century, because of anti-Semitism in Europe, European Jews began to try and figure out a solution to the Jewish problem. A very small minority adhered to Zionism, the idea that the only place in which they could be safe is within a Jewish state.
Zionist Jews actually had a design on the land of Palestine, the idea of creating a homeland for Jews in the land of Palestine. And this is really the beginning of the conflict.
The mainstream Israeli Jewish society believed, because that's the way they had been educated, that Palestine was empty, had been empty when the Jewish settlers came there.
Who paid the price when they settled there? Is it really true that Israel was a land without a people for a people without a land?
Palestine was not empty. It was a land populated by Arabs who had a high level of culture, high level of education.
With farms and markets and towns and villages and roads and commerce and lots of interaction with the rest of the world.
The population was overwhelmingly Arab.
Jewish immigration increased under British rule following World War I, when Britain implemented the Balfour Declaration, promising a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This measure conflicted with Britain's previous promise of self-rule for Arab inhabitants throughout the region.
Britain was basically extremely supportive.
और आप सुन रहे हैं इस वक्त रेडियो तहरीर यहीं पर 99.5 FM WBAI न्यूयॉर्क.
And that was another clip from Occupation 101. That's the premium that we are offering you tonight here on Radio Tahrir on WBAI 99.5 FM. You can get this great premium, this great DVD about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. You can get it by calling in 212-209-2950. We're offering it for only $100, and for $150 you can get a 2 DVD gift set. And of course, you can call in and pledge whatever amount of support that you would like to pledge. We have a whole room of volunteers in the back who are waiting to take your calls.
But we don't have no calls. We need some phone calls.
We don't have any calls.
We need some calls, 212-209-2950. We have in studio with us Brother Cyrus. He is in the Civil Rights Unit of CAIR New York. And on the line, we have Brother Ramzi Qasim. I guess I would ask both of you the following question. Like, what activities, what type of organization, what have you organized in response to what's been going on with the NYPD?
The strategies has to have a number of facets. We absolutely had to address this on many levels, as, Ramzi was saying as well. That on the one hand, we needed to make sure that people were protected, because this is an issue that a lot of people don't know about. Still, we're talking about it on the radio, but not enough people have been doing this work and spreading the word about this. So one was education. Another was protection, and TahrirCAIRCLEAR, CAIR New York, the National Lawyers Guild, a number of great organizations have been offering Know Your Rights trainings, so that literally going into mosques, going into schools, letting people know what their rights are if they're approached by law enforcement, what they can do about the situation. Other than that, there were the grassroots mobilizations. We had one rally on November 18th. It was tremendously successful. Hundreds of Muslims out in the streets. It was a beautiful thing to see. This needs to continue, and this will continue, inshallah. And we have lots of other things coming up. Definitely hope that everyone, all the listeners, will keep in touch with us. CAIR New York, we have our website, cair-ny.org. Please do keep in touch with TahrirCAIRCLEAR. Look out for activities from MACLIC, the Muslim American Civil Liberties Coalition, and all Muslim organizations in this city really need to be mobilizing around this issue. It will not stop.
Brother Qasim?
Yeah, and again, just to agree completely with what Cyrus just said. I think there are two things that folks can do out there in the wake of these confirmations of NYPD surveillance of Muslim New Yorkers. The first thing is just educate yourself about your rights, so that if you're ever in a situation where you have a law enforcement officer coming up to you to ask you questions about your neighbors, about your community, about your masjid, about what's being said in your mosque, that you know what to do.
Which is don't talk to them.
What was that?
I'm sorry, I jumped in. I said I was just giving them the quick Know Your Rights workshop.
Yeah, exactly. And these are very basic rights, and we realize that they're sometimes difficult to exercise. Very basic things like, the fact that you're under no obligation to answer questions about, your political views, about what websites you visit, about the books that you read. We're not, this is very basic, common information. We're not saying don't talk to the cops if you saw a car accident or if you saw a crime being committed, but what we are saying is that if it's very obvious that the detectives are out there trying to gather information about your community and trying to monitor, what imams you listen to and what books that you read, you're not obligated to answer those kinds of questions. And at the same time that you have a right to an attorney, and that there are organizations out there that provide representation when people are approached by detectives for that kind of questioning. CLEAR is one of those organizations. You can check out our website, CLEAR, through the CUNY Law School website portal. You can find us, and we can represent you free of charge on those kinds of encounters. And the other thing that folks need to do is to continue mobilizing. I think that's equally important. Awareness raising is one thing, and exercising sort of your right not to answer questions that you feel are inappropriate or politically invasive. That's one thing, but then you need to exercise your other rights. You need to exercise your rights to express your opinions politically, to associate, to mobilize, and, express your discontent with these policies and these practices that are targeting New York communities that are extremely old and established and respected and are being treated as though they are suspects.
You just answered part of my question. A few weeks ago on the wire services, I saw a story, and the headline read that New York Muslim activists are encouraging Muslims in the community not to cooperate with the police or with intelligence services. And people were approaching me and asking me, well, what does that mean? Why are your leaders telling your people not to cooperate with us? Does that mean that you don't care about the safety of this country? Just trying to play the devil's advocate. What should we say when people have those criticisms?
Well, that's problematic for two reasons. I mean, that particular story is, the framing for that story was unfortunate because, of course, that's not the message that CLEAR is sending to Muslim communities. That's not the message that CAIR is sending to Muslim communities. We don't go in there saying, hey, don't talk to the cops under any set of circumstances. That ignores the larger climate here. The larger climate is a climate of surveillance without any suspicion of criminal activity. So we weren't talking about situations where a crime had occurred and, should people give information about that crime to the police. That's not at all the situation we're facing here. We're facing a situation where you've got the FBI and the NYPD going into communities to gather information about lawful protected activity without any suspicion of criminal conduct. So that's one part of the answer. The other part of the answer is obviously, it's not like there are any secrets in Muslim communities. It's not like, here are the Muslims and they've got all these secrets and they refuse to share them with law enforcement and this is going to threaten the security of our nation.
Well, they're listening enough to know what's going on anyway. They don't have to ask anybody. Everybody's probably being tapped. But you know what I find interesting? Like when you look at most of the police departments now, when I was a little kid, you could distinguish police officers from military people. Now, most of the departments, especially New York, it looks like a paramilitary training camp. What kind of equipment are these guys
That's very true.
carrying? Mm-hmm. Can anybody answer that question?
Well, actually, it's just this is a little bit off topic, but there was a report that came out today or last night that the Pentagon is actually selling, almost giving away military equipment and weapons actually to local police departments. And I mean, the NYPD has been at the lead of that for a long time. Ray Kelly was on 60 Minutes about a month or two ago, taking credit for being able to shoot down an airplane if he needed to, which is terrifying in itself.
If I'm not mistaken, he also bragged that he had the biggest military other than the United States military in the country.
Right? This is a police department that's larger than the FBI, and the abuses don't stop there. These abuses absolutely are affecting all of us, especially Muslims, but all Americans. All of these issues are connected. This is a police department where people have been where detectives are on record saying that they planted drugs on innocent people. Where officers are being charged with raping women.
We saw this at Zuccotti Park a few weeks ago. I mean. The one movement, that's inspired by actually what's happening in the Middle East. People are coming out. They want to express themselves and their voices, and their legitimate voices, we should say as well. Within a few months, they're kicked off the streets, and the movement basically falls apart.
Professor Qasim, are you aware of the Senate passing some legislation establishing the National Defense Authorization Act? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Can you just explain to our listeners, if you know some details, what the provisions of that act call for?
Right. I mean, it's not law yet. I think it's still in process. There is a real chance that this might become the law. There's also a chance that the president will veto it, which would be the right thing to do.
But what will it establish?
The problem with that bill right now is that if it became law, it would mandate military detention for anyone suspected of being affiliated with Al Qaeda or the Taliban or being engaged in a terrorist act against the United States. Anyone. So it could be a U.S. citizen, it could be a non-citizen, it could be here, it could be overseas. Now, of course, that particular approach, so far at least since 9/11, has been limited to non-citizens captured overseas. So that's what explains Guantanamo, it's what explains Bagram, it's what explains the black sites. And that's not okay, of course.
But that would be consistent with their secret evidence, right, in the Patriot Act. So they get you on secret evidence, and then they'd put you in one of these prisons, and you wouldn't even know why you were there, and they'd have a right not to tell you.
Yeah, right. And the main change is that, when something like that happens, whereas it would have been handled normally by the local police or by the FBI, and people would have gone through the civilian system, if this were to become law, then it automatically takes it out of the civilian authority's hands and places it in the hands of the U.S. military, which raises a whole bunch of problems, including the fact that, historically in the United States, there's been this principle that the military should not be involved in policing and, should not be out on the streets doing that kind of stuff. And this law would, if this bill, if it became law, would put the military in that position.
Well, if I may, because my brother Ramzi Qasim, mashallah, he's so patient and so calm. This is terrifying. This is the end of due process as we know it. This is the end of the Bill of Rights. It's being thrown out the window. Please, everyone, please, listeners, call your congresspeople. Please, this is a huge issue. And this passed in the Senate 93-7, with these...
Including our New York senators.
Yes, absolutely.
Including our New York senators. I mean, I think there are two things you can do. Call your New York senators and just tell them how pissed off you are that they voted for this, but also, do what you can to reach out to the White House and to confirm to the White House that the right thing to do would be to veto this thing.
I wonder if this is what we voted for when we voted for President Obama. You're listening to TahrirCAIR, WBAI 99.5 FM. This is a fundraiser, so we need some more calls. We are not doing as well as we'd like to do. The number is 212-209-2950. We want to hear the phone ring at least 4 or 5 callers. Again, we have about approximately 20 minutes or 19 minutes left in which to reach our goal. The number is 212-209-2950.
I have the name of the 2 volunteers who are in the back who are waiting for your calls. They are Matt and Jeff. Thank you for that call.
Thank you for
They
that
are
call.
sitting there with their phones and waiting for them to ring. We need you to call in. This is a fundraiser to keep Radio Tahrir and WBAI alive. Keep the work that we do alive. We cannot do it without your support. 212-209-2950.
Oh yeah, and before we go, I want to thank you all for listening, and please keep this fight alive. This is going to be a tremendous struggle. Definitely keep in touch with our organizations, with CAIR New York and with TahrirCAIR. Please do search MACLIC, as that's the Muslim American Civil Liberties Coalition, MACLC. Just Google that. Very important that everyone be a part of this work. Muslims, non-Muslims, all people of conscience, all Americans. This is really going to be one of the struggles to define our generation.
Absolutely, and you need to pick up the phone and call Tahrir and make your contribution to keep their vital work alive, and get involved. I mean, it could be through the Muslim American Civil Liberties Coalition. It could be through any organization. You could start your organization, but you need to get involved and make your voice heard on these issues.
We need some more phone calls. The number again is 212-209-2950. Call your friends. We know it's late, but the NBA hasn't started yet. There are no football games tonight, so just take this time out. Call your friends, call them up, tell them please call in to WBAI 99.5 FM Tahrir. We need your donations. We don't have any phones ringing. We need the lines to ring. You can donate whatever you have in your pocket, from a minimal amount to a maximum amount. Tonight we've been pitching Occupation 101 regarding the Palestinians and their struggle for since 1948. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. 212-209-2950. Max, maybe we can play just a little more of Occupation 101 for our listeners. And the premium for this is $100 for the DVD, and the special 2 gift set package is $150. Thank you.
The Palestinians saw a European power decide the future of a non-European territory, in flat disregard of both their presence and wishes. In the 1920s, as land was being stripped away from local residents, the first clashes between Palestinians and Jews began, and would continue on for years to come. Until the early 1930s, the Jewish population of Palestine remained under 17%. Hitler's rise to power in Germany completely changed that. In just 5 years, 174,000 Jews flooded into Palestine, doubling their population. As the world attempted to make amends for the horrors of Nazi genocidal policies, efforts to make Palestine a Jewish homeland increased.
The Palestinians, they were not the Nazis. They were not responsible for the Holocaust. But they were the ones who paid the price.
In 1947, with the conflict spiraling out of control, Britain decided to turn the problem of Palestine over to the United Nations. The UN, under pressure, proposed to divide the land into two states, an Arab state and a Jewish state. Arabs were to be given 43% of the land, despite the fact that they made up more than two-thirds of the population and owned over 92% of the land. Jews were to be given 56%, although they comprised only one-third of the population and owned less than 8% of the total area.
Nevertheless, they were given not only most of the land, they were given the most fertile land.
Zionist leaders took advantage of their superior military preparation and immediately began occupying major Arab cities in Palestine.
I was among the people that conquered Akko. When we were walking around, we entered the place.
That was yet another clip from the premium that we are offering you tonight. It's an amazing premium. It's called Occupation 101. Hassan?
209, 2950.
2950. Let me read you what it says on the back of this DVD so you can understand how amazing of a premium this actually is. It's the film that wins the Golden Palm. It's a film that not only reflects mastery of filmmaking arts, but of storytelling and humanity. For only $100, folks, that's $100, you are getting this amazing DVD, Occupation 101, talking about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict from the perspectives that are not offered in the mainstream media. 212-209-2950.
We need you to get on the phone and call your friends and relatives. We have approximately 14 minutes left, and the number is 212-209-2950. Cyrus, what do you think? Can you get out? Can you encourage some of your friends to make some phone calls? We got 13 minutes left.
You know, one thing that's been so powerful about these last few months, so exciting for me, you know, since September and right up to today, is that finally I think people of my generation and, you know, all Americans, people around the world, you know, if we look around over the year, people are turning this into action. People are turning what they know and turning their beliefs and principles into action. Whether that was being present, whether that is votes, and whether that's investing money. It's very important that we actually invest in the institutions.
And if they invest in this
revolution.
institution tonight, is nonprofit, is tax deductible, and the number's 212-209-2950. And we like that sound when the phone rings. That's two callers. That's three callers. We need 5 callers. We need 5 callers. How many do we have, Max? 212-209-2950. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. Where else can you hear this type of discussion specifically addressing the issues in the Arab Muslim communities throughout New York and New Jersey and throughout the country and even internationally? You don't get this on commercial radio. You don't get this on Hot 97 and 98.7 KISS and 107.5 WBLS. You don't get this type of discussion. Here you get the real discussion about the real issues that people, not just Muslims, but all everyday citizens are faced with. And the number is 212-209-2950. We need your call. Again, the number is 212-209-2950.
Occupation 101, the premium that we are offering today, is called Voices of the Silenced Majority. Hassan was just talking about it. Our community, thank you for that call. Our community in the area is always complaining that their voices are never represented in the mainstream media. But Radio Tahrir and WBAI are here to fill that void. We are here on Tuesdays, 9 to 10 p.m. every week to bring you voices of the Arab and Muslim communities. We interview filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, politicians, historians, professors, you name it. It's all here on our program. And to keep this program running, we need your support. We need you to call in at 212-209-2950.
We just need, if we can get one big donor, then maybe we'll be okay for the rest of the night. Just one big donor so we can meet our quota. We need $1,500 and we're a long way from $1,500. The number again is 212-209-2950. 212-209-2950.
My people out in New Jersey, you of all people need to be calling in right now and supporting Radio Tahrir. I went to an Islamic school, and in Islamic school we were always complaining that nobody was out there to represent our voices. Nobody was out there to talk to us and care about what we wanted as a community and who we were. Well, this is what we're here to do for you. Radio Tahrir has actually been on the air for over 20 years. Dr. Barbara Nimir Aziz, our executive producer, has been with the show for that long. She's currently traveling abroad, bringing you more productions, more vibrant productions, and she'll be back at the end of January to bring those to you. But in order for her to do that, you really need to call in today, 212-209-2950.
Maybe you want to mention her blog too.
The second part of her blog, Reflections on Nepal, which is an amazing blog, is actually just posted up on our webpage, so you can go to www.radiotahrir.org and you can read that blog.
212-209-2950. Cyrus, you have anything you want to say?
Actually, I was just thinking about this. I should have left the studio when I had a chance. Hopefully my wife isn't listening. But I've been here watching these images, these very powerful images from the DVD, and thinking about this very powerful institution and this radio station. And on behalf of either myself or my organization, and if the organization won't pick up the check, then I will, I'd like to pledge $100 with the hope that two listeners out there will match me.
We have a $100 pledge from our guests. So we're looking for two matching pledges.
I really can't afford it either, so you guys really got to call in now and match.
And the number is 212-209-2950. Hopefully they heard that in the back and they'll add that to our tally. The number is 212-209-2950. We have approximately 9 minutes. 9 minutes. Please call your friends and relatives. Ask them to give us a call here at 212-209-2950. You listen to Peace and Justice Radio, WBAI 99.5 FM. Tonight we've been speaking with Brother Ramzi Kasem. He's an associate professor of law in the CUNY system in New York, and Brother Cyrus from CAIR New York, and Sister Reem Nasser.
Hassan, tell us about your community in New Jersey. What about the mosques there? They need to be calling in 212-209-2950.
They definitely need to be calling in. And I don't want to forget Sister Aisha Aduwiya, who helped co-host this program and, in fact, helped us arrange for our guest tonight. She's also texted me telling me to encourage all of her friends and comrades to call in and make donations. Yes, that's one. How many calls we got now, Max? 212-209-2950. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. We're still quite away from our hope, the amount that we were trying to raise. We have approximately 8 minutes. We need you to give us a call.
I'll be hosting next week, December 13th, and we're going to be having a discussion about the elections in Egypt that just took place a couple of weeks ago. So that's going to be a great discussion. We're also going to be talking about what people can do in the New Jersey area specifically if they need help with somebody who they feel has special needs. And that's also something that's very important in our community, something that we need to talk about. On December 20th and December 27th, the following 2 weeks, Tamara Ishaq is going to be returning from Chicago. She is one of our producers. She's part of the Tahrir team. And she's going to be hosting for 2 weeks. And she's going to be devoting a whole show to education in the Muslim community. So she's going to be talking about private education versus public school education. It's going to be a great discussion. She's going to be bringing in a lot of important guests who are going to be talking about it. So in order to listen to that and to listen to whatever else we have to offer you on Tahrir, please call 212-209-2950. Our premium Occupation 101 Voices of the Silenced Majority is going for $100, or for $150 you can get the 2 DVD gift set. So call in at 212-209-2950.
And I'll be here on January 3rd, 17th, and 31st. Again, those dates are January 3rd, 17th, and 31st. And hopefully we'll have some dynamic program for you on those 3 dates. one of those dates, maybe if everything works out, I want to try to have a little mini forum of leadership here and discuss leadership in Islam and leadership in the state of New York and New Jersey and the direction of the leadership. But tonight we need you to call. We got 6 minutes. The number's 212-209-2950. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. We're looking for your donations. Aisha is encouraging me to ask all her friends and comrades to please call and make a donation so that we can sustain this commercial-free radio station, WBAI 99.5 FM. You're now listening to Radio TahrirCAIR, and the number for your donation is 212-209-2950.
Let's read a little bit more about Occupation 101. It's a powerful documentary film on the current and historical root causes of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and U.S. government involvement. The film is presented through a series of highly stylized visual edits and accompanied with thought-provoking commentaries from a who's who list of leading Middle East scholars, peace activists, journalists, religious leaders, and humanitarian workers whose voices have too often been suppressed in American media outlets. Where else are you going to find something this great? 212-209-2950.
Can we get someone out there who loves Tahrir to pledge $175, or can we get 3 people? We need a pledge of at least $175 right now. If we need pledges that at least amount to $175. Can we get one person to pledge $175? We have 5 minutes.
Remember, I'm still waiting on 2 people to match me too. We need $100. We need 2 people at least. Thank you.
So if one person matches Cyrus for $100, that means we'll just need one more person to pledge $75. At least we'll be close to the halfway mark. So again, the number's 212-209-2950. Please give us a call at 212-209-2950. This is Tahrir, Peace and Justice Radio, WBAI 99.5 FM.
Is the professor still with us on the air?
No,
he's
not. I don't think so.
Hassan, tell us about your community in New Jersey. Call them out.
Listen, I don't understand what's going on. I'm going to be pretty upset when I get back this Friday at Juma. But then again, I don't know. Maybe a few people from the community have called. If they haven't, and you're listening, Dar al-Islam, and members of or people who frequent Dar al-Islam or live near Dar al-Islam, Essex County and Union County people, please call us at 212-209-2950. We need about 5 phone calls to make. At least we'd like to get another $175. The number again is 212-209-2950. We have approximately 3 minutes to get $175 at least.
Here at Radio Tahrir, we bring you voices from the Arab and Muslim communities, and we are dedicated to the community and becoming a platform for all the different perspectives and ideas that go through our community. And you can actually access our past podcasts, and you can go to www.radiotahrir.org. You can listen to all the shows that we have done in the past. Last week, actually, I interviewed Ibtihaj Muhammad, who is a fencing champion, and she's Olympics 2012 hopeful. So inshallah she'll make it there. That was a great interview that we did with her. And to hear that, go to radiotahrir.org.
She received an award from CAIR. I think it was the Inspiration Award from CAIR of New Jersey on Sunday night. And they did a nice little video clip of her. It was really beautiful. She's a very articulate young lady. She
was very inspiring, actually. It was a great interview.
Powerful Muslim sisters.
Yeah. Again, the number's 212-209-2950. We got about maybe a minute 45 seconds. Can we get an update from the back? We don't know if that number has changed or not, but we need 175 at least within the next minute and a half. The number's 212-209-2950.
I got some news. I won't mention her by name, mashallah. This is my sister here, has matched $100.
But she's got to call 212-209-2950
she's calling right now.
So that they can get that a confirmation in the back and probably post it for us. The number again is 212-209-2950. Now listen, if any of my close friends want to text me and pledge through my telephone, you can also do the same thing. Don't let Cyrus' sister outdo you.
That's right. That's right.
So you can text me if you want, and then I'll just send you to the back and we'll put your pledge down. But the number is 212-209-2950. We have approximately 45 seconds left, and we're trying to reach that golden number of at least $175 more, so at least we can be a little bit less than half of what our initial goal was.
Finally.
Maybe this is the big donor that's going to put us over the top. You never know. I got a feeling. Inshallah it is. 212-209-2950. You've been listening to WBAI 99.5 FM. This is TahrirCAIR. This is a fundraiser. This is Peace and Justice Radio, commercial free. Please send in your donations. Send in your donations. The number again is 212-209-2950. Assalamu alaikum, New York. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your donations to TahrirCAIR and